What's good, guys? It's Prince Jonah, back at it again with the second episode. Um, it's just me saying my thoughts, really, to be honest. The first episode I spoke about, being ahead on a journey. The second episode I'm gonna talk about, you know, what is the Meta-Embodied Map? So this is a map on how I look at reality. I'll go about, seeing somebody and, breaking it down to the smallest piece possible and try to get accurate as possible without taking away from the nuances. You know what I mean? That's important, that last part. So what I do is, like I said, I use a map called a Meta-Embodied Map. And the way I describe it is that there are thinkers, somebody that I call meta, who think about thinking, you know what I mean? And there's embodied, people who do. They go about, some people is more meta leaning, some people is more embodied leaning, but humans entirely is meta embodied. We both think and do, which makes us, why people say, oh, you're different from other animals. It's not really different, it's the combination of both, default ways of thinking that combines to what we see right now and leads to stuff like this building behind me. So what meta is essentially the theory maker, the person who makes the maps, the person who, when the energy needs to go somewhere, the meta is going to really think about where it needs to go. And not only that, it's going to think about the optimal structure on all stuff in existence, essentially. The meta is really connected to other people's meta, if that makes sense. So that's the way meta works. Meta is very non-linear. It does not work on, that's their relationship with time, is very non-linear. You feel me? It's just about trying to describe reality or existence in some ways, put stuff in categories and boxes. That's the meta. Somebody who's embodied is totally different. It's somebody who, I wouldn't say don't think, but they don't need to think. What guides their actions is, deadlines, timelines, point A to B, getting stuff done. You know what I mean? That guides their whole actions. So somebody embodied, for example, could, let's say they're not a thinker, so they don't know why the stuff they doing is bad, right? So you will have to give them cops. And then after they do time for a year, they'll be like, damn, I didn't like time for a year. That's the consequence. Their body feels it. They feel it. You know what I mean? They can't think it. They're not in their head. They only can feel it. So they feel it now. It's called so now they chained towards time. You know what I mean? Essentially, that's how embodied people is moving. You know what I mean? Some meta will hear people like that and think about distortion. I call that meta bias because it's looking down on people who operate in a totally different thinking hemisphere. And essentially, the combination of such, the meta-embodied, is navigating the gap between where you think you are and where you really want to be. Well, where you at and where you really want to be. You could look at it as Jesus. Jesus, for example, was like a representation of, the most super highest potential of human. You know what I mean? In the meta-embodied map, he would be someone who was thinking and then act on what he was thinking about, to the point where it was almost felt like he was creating stuff. You know what I mean? We could damn well say he created stuff. You can't tell. You know what I mean? So you might as well say he does. And this is why I call it like a God compression meaning symbol. When you see certain stories and you can't tell if it was meant to be that way, like prophecy, or it was created. You can't tell. And some examples of that would be like Rumi, Lousy, you know what I mean, Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad. There's a lot of stuff that you just can't fake, you know what I mean? And those are the type of people, those are more utilizing their better embodied. So they combine their thoughts and their actions. Reality bends in certain ways. When you understand where you can put your energy, it's like I don't know, you know how planets orbit, stuff like that? Imagine you could control the orbit, bro. So it's literally like that. That's why people talk about seeing fate, seeing destiny, seeing colors. You could really see that. You could, if you meta, you could see that, and if you're embodied, you could act on that. And so there's a lot of science is a very embodied practice. You know what I mean? And witchcraft and all that tarot cards and Christianity and religion, all that type of stuff. Those are very meta. You know what I mean? They ways to describe reality. So what a lot of embodied people who really know how to get money and stuff like that, what they do is hook up with a meta person who knows how to think. So that's why you always see in teams like, you know, a brain and a brawn, because that's really what the optimal is. Usually if you can't get it internally, you could get it externally and create a field between the relation between y'all two, and that's just what it is. And so there's the meta embodied map. You know what I mean? You understand how embodied travel time through deadlines, how meta travel through non-linear. When it happens, it just happens. You know what I mean? And it happens on God's time. It just happens, boom, at the right moment, at the right time. And two different ways to live. When they both look at each other, they look at each other weird. And embodied would like, what? That's actually weird. And you know what I mean? I'm meta, so you know what I mean? I'm very meta. I'm so meta, in fact, that's why I can describe this. But I'm also embodied in the fact that I'm letting y'all know about it. You know, is this gonna change reality? Who knows? Probably whoever listened to this end of this video and actually perceive what I'm saying, they could definitely utilize this to, you know, bring what I call a presence seal. So that's essentially like a gravity of presence. Just being around somebody, you just bless them because you're always edifying. You know, you just telling them good words, good news. You see what they're doing. It's almost like using manipulation, but for good. It's so crazy, bro. Sometimes it gets borderline. You think like, is this even the right thing to do? And if you ask yourself that, that's how you know you're on the right track. To be honest, someone who couldn't even ask himself that, is sealed. And if they have sealed, they have a seal in. They have a seal in. They can't grow. And if they can't grow, you frozen. And if you frozen, you're not internal. It just keep on going on, bro, the loop. So, but yeah, that's my meta embodied map. Thank y'all for listening. Yeah, bro, like I said, I don't really do these type of stuff, but I'm really interested in seeing what people think about my thinking. So, who knows? You know what I mean? I think I might make episodes more often. I probably just do it when I'm chilling late at night and just vibe out once or twice a week. So stay tuned. Thanks.